A professor and head of ecological sciences at the James Hutton Institute provides the buried lead 17 paragraphs into an article at The Guardian on October 21st, 2024. Quote, "Biodiversity is not a nice-to-have. It is a critical element of delivering action on climate change, health and well-being, and sustainable food production. Without action, our planet will be further depleted." End quote. The first sentence provides an excellent overview. Quote, "Humanity is on the precipice of shattering Earth's limits and will suffer huge costs if we fail to act on biodiversity, experts warn." End quote. The first paragraph concludes with an overdue warning. Quote, "The stakes are high and there is no time to waste." End quote. A professor of applied ecology at Britain's University of Reading said, quote, "We are already locked in for significant damage and we're heading in a direction that will see more. I really worry that negative changes could be very rapid." End quote. Again, I quote from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's October 8, 2018 report, Global Warming of 1.5 Degrees. Quote, "These global level rates of human-driven change far exceed the rates of change driven by geophysical or biosphere forces that have altered the Earth system trajectory in the past. Even abrupt geophysical events do not approach current rates of human-driven change." End quote. In other words, we are currently experiencing the fastest rate of environmental change in planetary history. The professor of applied ecology at the University of Reading is correctly concerned when he says, quote, "I really worry that negative changes could be very rapid." End quote. Indeed, these negative changes are already very rapid, the most rapid in planetary history, to be precise. The Guardian points to research indicating wildlife populations have declined on average by 73%. The article names a few of the many species humans have obliterated, including passenger pigeons, Carolina parakeets, and Floriana giant tortoises. The professor of applied ecology says, quote, "It's shameful that our single species is driving the extinction of thousands of others." End quote. It certainly is shameful that human actions underlie what is by far the most horrific mass extinction event in planetary history. The article in The Guardian indicates that humans rely on the living planet for clean air, potable water, and the food we need to survive. In response, the professor of applied ecology said, quote, "I think we will, certainly, in the next 15 to 20 years, see continued food crises and the real risk of multiple breadbasket failures. That's in addition to a lot of the other risks that might impact us through freshwater pollution, ocean acidification, wildfire and algal blooms, and so on." End quote. Talk about too little too late. Based on the peer-reviewed literature I have cited in the past, I doubt we have, quote, 15 to 20 years, end quote, in which to, quote, see continued food crises and the real risk of multiple breadbasket failures, end quote. Instead, I strongly suspect our species and most other life on Earth will be extinct by then. This is not what I desire. However, the ongoing rate of environmental change and the likelihood it will continue both indicate our time is short. The professor of applied ecology recognizes Earth is amid a mass extinction event with, quote, "huge uncertainty in where the safe limits are," end quote. The Guardian addressed those safe limits and how we have surpassed them. Quote, "Scientists say human activity has pushed the world into a danger zone in 7 out of 8 indicators of planetary safety. Under a business-as-usual scenario, biodiversity loss will accelerate, with more species surviving only in zoos." End quote. At some point in the not-too-distant future, zoos will no longer register as a concern to humans. We will be focused on securing air to breathe, water to drink, and food to eat. I strongly suspect animals in zoos will become food for desperate humans. The story in The Guardian then quotes the Director of Conservation and Policy at the Zoological Society of London. Quote, "Already we have witnessed environmentally driven famine in Madagascar and mass migration. We will see increased conflict for access to dwindling resources, particularly water and food. We will see increases in major health issues, particularly due to urban heat as temperatures increase to intolerable levels and pollution rises." End quote. In a subsection titled "A Loss of Connection to the Earth," The Guardian claims that, quote, "people are noticing nature and species disappearing in the space of a few generations," end quote. A land restoration expert in central Malawi said, quote, We relied on a biodiverse ecosystem to thrive. If you see the changes, they are tremendous. It's insane. People's livelihoods are at the center of this. Biodiversity loss looks complex, but at the end of the day, it comes back to life. As we lose biodiversity, it's essentially losing parts of ourselves as human beings as well." End quote. These comments were echoed in a report published by the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. This report, published by the United Nations more than 2 years ago, found that a market-based focus on economic growth ignored other benefits of the living planet, including spiritual, cultural, and emotional value. The land restoration expert in central Malawi expressed the importance of retaining our connection to the living planet. If we don't act, quote, "it will be a planet where we have lost our history because our nature is our history. We've lost not just key species, we've lost our connectivity to the earth," end quote. Concerning climate change, she said, quote, "Climate change has devastating effects. It is bringing a huge shockwave in communities. We are on the precipice of shattering Earth's natural limits. We have not gone there yet, but we are right on the edge," end quote. According to the corporate media, we, quote, "have not gone there yet, but we are right on the edge," end quote. The corporate media is loath to admit we have crossed Earth's natural limits. According to the Design to Fail Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Earth is amid the most rapid environmental change in planetary history. In addition, the IPCC has concluded climate change is irreversible. A professor at Bournemouth University and chair of the British Ecological Society's Policy Committee has watched the decline of key species he studies in his lifetime. He dived with sharks on the reefs of Indonesia 20 years ago. He provides the bottom line for the Guardian article. "Now these sharks, quote, have completely vanished, not just in Indonesia, but in other places. We are very close to critical limits where we are not going to be able to recover that biodiversity, and it has really big effects on society. It is not about being able to see some butterflies," end quote. Considering that, according to the IPCC, we are amid the most rapid change in planetary history, and climate change is irreversible, it should come as no surprise that our collective actions are destroying life on Earth. Mass extinction events have consequences. It's a sad time on Earth for those who care about life.